Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2020-21 season. My name is Dan and today I've got for you a video all about differentials that you might want to pick up between now and the end of this season. Now it's come to the end of the season, which means a lot of you guys are trying to find the edge, maybe to win your mini leagues, maybe to push up your overall ranking. A lot of the teams are looking a little bit samey at the moment, so you might want to sprinkle a little bit of spice in that team of yours. So I picked out 8 players today. They're not necessarily the 8 best differentials. They're not necessarily super low owned, all of them. All of them are owned by less than 5% of managers. I do think they are very good picks, each and every one of them, but I also have made sure there's a lot of variety in here. So we've got all kinds of positions, all different teams, real variety here that is going to find something that you might like here. So really hoping this video will be super useful for you going into the final stretch of the season. Maybe pick up 1 or 2 if you really fancy it, but what can I say, guys? Let's just get straight into it. So we're going to start you off with Rob Holding, and before I say anything else, please do make sure you give a like on the video. I'd really appreciate that. It really does help the channel out a lot, and of course subscribe if you haven't done already. But Rob Holding, 4.2 million, 4% owned, so he is fairly low owned. He is the highest owned player in this list. We're going to go down from highest owned all the way down to the lowest owned player, and Rob Holding is kind of in this Arsenal team now for the rest of the season. David Luiz, he's going to probably miss the rest of the season through injury now, which means that Rob Holding is going to be the guy to come in and replace him pretty much permanently in this Arsenal team, at least as far as this season is concerned. Now, don't expect any attacking returns from Rob Holding. He doesn't really have that in him. He's not taken any short shots or made any key passes over the last 4 games that he's been involved in. He had a few more shots and stuff from corners and things like that earlier on in the season, so maybe it could happen, but it's not something you should expect. I think the reason I didn't go for Rob Holding in my wildcard team, for example, is just because I wanted someone with that could add a little bit more, not just clean sheets, maybe a little bit more. But we are looking at the clean sheets because of these fixtures. They're looking really amazing. So Fulham next, that looks like a really good chance of a clean sheet. Then Everton, Newcastle, West Brom, Chelsea, Crystal Palace and Brighton. So you can hold Rob Holding, no pun intended, for the rest of the season, and there will be clean sheets in there. At 4.2 million, he's also a really good budget enabler. So maybe if you want to keep him on your bench or rotate him or just bring him in so you can free up some budget to get in another player that you really want, that could be just the thing for you. So have a look at Rob. Next is Kai Havertz at 3.1% owned. A little bit more expensive now. We're going for a midfielder. Probably might be surprised that more people don't own Kai Havertz just because of his kind of pedigree, the fact he's a Chelsea player, probably Chelsea's best attacking player. Right now he's kind of playing as their main striker at the moment, and Chelsea's attack is looking a lot better recently. There was this period where they were only really scoring 1 or 2 goals per game, no more than that ever, and since Kai Havertz has kind of been playing up front, it seems to be improving and improving and improving. That's really good, obviously. Now, we've got a minor rotation risk with Havertz, and I think that is what puts some people off. But I think with Chelsea, there just is a lot of rotation at the moment, which they're kind of like Man City 2.0. There is that roulette there, isn't there? The Tuchel roulette, if you like. But when Havertz is on the pitch, he is looking really good. He's taking kind of a few shots per game. These shots that he's taken, you know, these are high quality chances in and around the box. He's had 4 big chances in 4 games. He's got 2.55 expected goals in this period, even though he's only scored 1 goal. So you'd think with the quality of the player, he would absolutely be able to catch up with his expected goals and actually start matching it a little bit with his actual goals there. And 0.53 expected assists in this period. He's massively overperformed that with 3 assists. And the fixtures, they're kind of mixed, but there are some nice ones in there. So Brighton next, and West Ham, Fulham, Man City, Arsenal, Leicester and Aston Villa. You'd say certainly the West Ham can definitely concede a few goals at the moment. Fulham has seemed to dropped off a little bit defensively. Maybe you can get some goals against Brighton, who knows. And then of course Aston Villa, they are conceding goals. Leicester, they're kind of a mixed bag. You don't really know what you're going to get with them. So there is some nice fixtures in here. And obviously with the quality of the team and player, you could probably beat those hard fixtures as well. So next up, we've got Samudio at 2.8% owned, 5.2 million. Wolves have been playing a back 4 recently, which hasn't really been going too well. I think once Willy Bollig is back, he's kind of been out recently due to COVID. They could go back to a back 3 in defence there. And if so, that means Samudio is going to go into right midfield, and that'll be much nicer like that, won't it? Now this season, Samudio, he's not really created a huge amount. He's not been a particularly creative player. He's not shot a lot either, to be honest. But there are the odd shots, the odd, opportunity for an assist. You think that maybe with the injuries to the attackers, you know, we've got Neto out, we've got Jimenez out. The players, maybe the wing backs, are going to have to provide a little bit more of that creativity, and therefore Samudio might have to create a little bit more of that creativity and play more of an important role in their attack. It could happen. He definitely offers a little bit more than someone like Cody for the same team. Cody obviously 0.2 million cheaper, so there's not really too much difference. Maybe you just pay the extra 0.2 million in order to get the more potential for attacks. So fixture-wise, the next one is just looking great. So Sheffield United, you know really that this is a really high chance for a clean sheet. No matter what team you are, there's a chance for a clean sheet here, which is really, really nice. Burnley after that, I'm not 100% sure about that, but it's okay. West Brom, I don't know what's going on there either. Brighton, that's a nice fixture from a defensive point of view. Maybe you like Burnley and West Brom as well. I do worry a little bit with Wolves about how many goals they're actually going to concede. They have not impressed me massively over, maybe 5, 6, 7 game weeks. They're not impressed me too much in defence, but there are some nice fixtures in there, and there are some, at least, decent fixtures in there as well. After that, it does get a bit worse, so it would be a fairly short-term punt, but just Sheffield United, clean sheet, pretty much guaranteed, right? So that could be a really good start for your Samudio ownership. Next, I've got Lucas Amore, 2.4% owned this one. So we are going down. We're getting down. 6.6 million. He started the last 5 Premier League games in a row for Spurs. He's looked very good, actually, in those games that he's played kind of as a second striker behind Harry Kane. Not so good when he's on the wing. I think he is probably going to be back on the wing again, but you never know. He could come back into the centre and play behind the striker, because that seemed to work quite well for Spurs and for him, to be honest. He's only taken 1 shot in his past 5 games, I think, which is not ideal. 7 key passes, 2 big chances created, 3 assists, which means his creative displays have been a little bit better. He is capable of overperforming his stats going through his history. But most importantly, guys, we've got this double game week. We've got this beautiful double game week against Everton and Southampton. And when we're looking for those nailed-on Spurs players, and Lucas has recently been nailed on. I'm not saying that he's definitely going to play. Obviously, there's potential rotation due to the League Cup final after the second game, after Southampton game. There might be a little bit of rotation. I'm not 100% sure. But I do think that Lucas, in general, kind of a cheap 1-week punt, isn't he? 6.6 million, you can't really go too far wrong. And if he plays both of those games, gets, even just 1 assist over 2 games, then that's a decent score for the game week, isn't it? So definitely worth considering as a differential. And even if you want to hold on to him slightly longer term, Spurs' fixtures in after their blank game week, because don't remember they do have that blank. Game week in 33, which is a little bit of a worry. After that, their fixtures really do look quite nice. So you could even consider keeping him, depending on how many other players you can field. Jared Bowen at 2.2% owned. Oh, we're getting down, guys. 5.9 million, that's a pretty decent price. And what's going on with Bowen right now is that he's playing as a forward. He's playing as the main striker in this really, really in-form West Ham team. And this is due to Antonio's injury. Antonio could kind of miss the rest of the season, to be honest. So that would mean Bowen, for the remaining 7 game weeks, potentially is going to be playing as the main striker for every single one of those games. Now, he looked really good against Leicester last game week. I thought he looked fantastic. His underlying stats are also good per 90. I'm doing per 90 for this one. When I'm going to tell you some stats, I'm going to do it per 90 just because Bowen has kind of had a few sub appearances and stuff like that, so I want to try and be fair here, but because I do think he is going to play on a more permanent basis now. But 2.54 shots per 90, that's pretty decent. 2.26 shots in the box per 90, so almost all of his shots are also in the box, so that's really nice. It's in these key areas. 0.85 big chances per 90, so he's getting big chances, almost a big chance per game. Very nice. And he's also creating a little bit too. Now, West Ham's mood seems really good right now. They have a lot to play for to try and get top 4. They really think they can do it. It's looking really good for them. I think their defense is a little bit shaky right now, but in terms of attack, they're just going counter-attack kind of football. Scoring. When you've got a player like Jesse Lingard in your team, there's always a chance that Jesse Lingard's going to lay it on a plate for you, or score a worldie from a pass that he's just received from Bowen, for example. I think it's pretty good. So I'm not sure he's an alternative to Lingard, but if you wanted to double up on the West Ham attack, this is exactly where you want to go. Lingard and then double up with Bowen. There's not really another attacking player, midfielder or forward that I would really consider from the West Ham team. I think Bowen is the one if you want to double up, but that's kind of up to you. The fixtures look really good. Newcastle, Chelsea's kind of the only difficult fixture you would say out of the rest of them. Other than that, there's going to be some opportunities for some goals all the way until the end of the season. That Chelsea game might put you off a little bit. You could potentially think about going in on Bowen in game week 34, for example. Just something to think about there, but definitely worth putting on our radars, guys. Right, next up, Cavani at 2.1%. I think a lot of people do like Cavani. I do prefer Greenwood, I think, if I was going to go for a Manchester United differential, I guess. But I did speak about Greenwood a little bit earlier on in the week, in the game week. And people have kind of asked, okay, well, we talked about Greenwood. What about Cavani? So let's do Cavani this video. So 7.8 million, so he's a little bit more expensive. He is still a very good striker. He's not past it. A lot of people kind of maybe have the impression that Cavani is a little bit past it now. But when he plays, he's actually looked pretty good. He's still got it. He's still that goal-scoring beast that he kind of has been for the past decade or whatever. With Martial injured for the rest of the season, Cavani is pretty much guaranteed to play more football. I know he's kind of been in and out of the team, sub appearances, coming off at half-time. There's actually less options now. You would say that Greenwood is the only really other guy who could potentially play a striker, but maybe he's preferred on the right. You've got Rashford. Yeah, he has played striker in times gone by, but he's kind of preferred to be on the left of midfield as a left winger, maybe on the right wing sometimes. But Cavani, when you've got him there available, I don't think he can play every single game week, bang, 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 because of his age, maybe his fitness. I don't know. He has not been playing every game week, has he? But there is definitely still a striker there that could be quite interesting. Now, if you are going for a striker as a differential, I would be a little bit careful, because I think Kane and Iheanacho, they're kind of the key strikers that you've got to have in your FPL teams right now. So if you're going to have Cavani as well, you're going to have to play a formation where you've got 4 in midfield and then 3 forwards, or, you know, even 3 in midfield and 3 forwards. Probably 4 in midfield would probably be for the best, but you would need to have Cavani as the third striker along with Kane and Iheanacho. Don't go for Cavani instead of Kane or Iheanacho. Cavani could then essentially become your differential third man in that forward line, which could be pretty nice. Fixture-wise, Burnley really nice, Leeds really nice, Liverpool, who knows, Aston Villa really nice, Leicester, who knows. You know, maybe it's kind of mixed, but overall I would say this run of fixtures Manchester United have looks pretty good to me. I do really like the look of it. So for that reason, you could consider Cavani as a third striker in your FPL team. Chris Wood next, 6.3 million, 2% owned. So yeah, we're at 2% now. I know we've only got one more after this. I promise the last one is a little bit more differential. But Wood, crazy. Like, if I was to tell you right now that we have got a player who's had 3 goals and 2 assists in his past 4 games, so 5 goal contributions in his past 4 games, you're probably thinking, oh, maybe it's Bruno or Salah or someone like that, KDB, I don't know. But no, it's in fact Wood. He is the guy who is getting all of the goals and assists right now. I think maybe he's kind of gone under the radar a little bit because he's not had a one huge score. He's not like had a 15-pointer or anything like that. He's kind of had an 8-pointer and a 9-pointer and a 10-pointer. And I think he had a 5 or a 6-pointer last game week as well. So nothing huge, but in terms of, you know, add all those scores together, and that's a pretty amazing run. So 2.87 expected goals, which is really nice. 0.94 expected assists, which is very nice as well. He's been involved in 83% of Burnley's goals over the past 4. And since coming back from injuries, he's just kind of just been on an absolute mad one. He's actually a really good striker, but was kind of just a little bit disappointing early on in the season. He's had some really good seasons last year. I think he scored 14 goals last season, and you know he's definitely scored double figures in a few seasons in his career. So he's definitely capable of performing at a high Premier League level. Burnley are not exactly safe from relegation yet either, so you would say they probably have a little bit to play for. Fixtures wise, you know, Manchester United, Wolves, West Ham, Fulham, Leeds, Liverpool, Sheffield United. There are a couple of really nice ones in there. I would kind of be looking at Wolves, West Ham, Fulham maybe, Leeds maybe, Sheffield United. They're all, you would say that there's definitely a good chance of a player like Chris Wood getting a goal or an assist in those games. So that looks really nice for him and Burnley in general, to be fair. So yeah, have a look at him. If you want to upgrade your Vidra to a Wood, then go for it, guys. Why not? And we're going to finish you off with Fofana, a player I have spoken about a little bit before, to be fair. 0.7% owned, so that is, you know, super differential territory here. He's 5 million, and because he's 5 million, that makes him the cheapest nailed defender for Leicester. You know, Leicester defence is hardly owned. No one's really invested in Leicester's defence. People have not been invested in Leicester's defence since Justin got injured. Since Justin's been injured, pretty much no one's had any Leicester defenders. Part of the reason for that is because they're quite expensive. Fofana, as the cheapest guy, he is nailed, but he has had a few injury problems. And when he's been injured, obviously he's not been playing. And then you have to spend like, 5.5 if you want to get a Johnny Evans, 5.7 if you want to get a Castan. And it gets quite expensive like that, which is not ideal. We don't really want to spend quite that much on Leicester's defence. Now, Leicester have not really been good for clean sheets lately, but their underlying stats suggest that they are underperforming, and maybe that catches up with themselves. I don't think Leicester are a bad defensive team. They don't concede a hell of a lot of shots. Certainly not compared to some of the other teams. I do think they're probably in the top half defences in the league. Whereas, when we compare, what you might say is, oh, do I want to go for a Connor Cody or do I want to go for Wesley Fofana? Most people will gravitate towards the Wolves defender because there have been a few more clean sheets. But on underlying stats and in terms of the actual defensive performances, overall anyway, over past 5-6 game weeks, you would say that Leicester are the better defence. And they're kind of the same price. So you could consider going in for the Leicester defence instead as a differential, as opposed to going for Wolves defence. That's kind of up to you. Now, the next 4 fixtures look good. West Brom, Crystal Palace, Southampton, Newcastle. That's a really nice run of 4 games. After that, it's not so good. I know this West Brom game, people might be a little bit concerned about West Brom's turn in form maybe, but there's certainly something there in the immediate term, I would say, as a potential for a 5 million defensive punt. So there you go, guys. Those are 8 differentials that you might want to consider. There are loads more, of course. I have spoken a bit about an extended list over on Twitter, so do go check out my Twitter if you want to see a few more differentials. But guys, what did you think about that? Is there anyone you think that is really missing that absolutely should make this list in terms of under 5% owned players? Who are you going for? Who do you like the look of? I'm sure you've got someone on your mind, but those are who I'm looking at. If you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like. I would really appreciate that. Subscribe, of course, if you're new around here. And aside from that, guys, that's it for videos for the week. Check out my other ones that I've made this week if you want to. And aside from that, it's going to be deadline stream tomorrow and into game week 32. Time to go. Time to go for game week 32. The big double game week with Spurs. Let's see what happens there, guys. But yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys on stream tomorrow. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.